2020 was a year full of pain, fear, and uncertainty. COVID-19 brought lives across the globe to a screeching halt, and everyone has been forced to adapt to working, learning, and passing the time with minimal social interaction. Whether by mandate or personal responsibility, most spent significantly more time in their own home in 2020. In the time of unparalleled economic stress, the video game industry experienced a massive boom in the spring and summer months. Confined to the living rooms, people across the globe leaned on the games industry for entertainment, for social interaction, and above all else, for escape. The sudden shift to remote work was not easy on those working in the games industry. Teams comprising hundreds of workers found themselves learning to collaborate from home, without their normal infrastructure or workflow to lean on. As a result, almost every major release scheduled for summer or fall 2020 experienced delays. In general, Sony exclusives stayed mostly on track in 2020, with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ghost of Tsushima both releasing to critical acclaim. Microsoft's side of the story was a bit different. The software giant was already struggling to produce compelling first-party content before the pandemic, and the shift to remote work did little to help matters. Microsoft's woes continued in the hardware department, as the release of the Xbox Series consoles, as well as their PlayStation 5 competitors, had uncharacteristically late reveals for launch dates and details, leading to speculation that COVID-19 had impacted production. These claims had merit. The new consoles have remained out of stock since their launch dates, as both manufacturers struggle to meet demand. While developers may have struggled this year, the industry has still grown and profited immensely. Doom and Animal Crossing's doubleheader releases during the first weeks of quarantine meant that March was a massive sales month, and retro game sellers reported that older games were selling better too, with the price of retro systems and software inflating dramatically. But while local retro shops may have made a killing this year, not every store felt the love. National retail chain GameStop was already struggling before the pandemic, and a reduction in brick-and-mortar sales due to quarantine and local ordinances made clear to the public how dire things were behind the curtain. For the average consumer, gaming is an at-home activity only, but the pandemic has proven that in-person events play a bigger role than most realize. E3 2020 was cancelled outright, with many attendees opting to hold their own live streams instead. Gamescom 2020 was an all-digital affair, as were the Game Awards. Local fighting game scenes dealt with venue closure, lower turnout, and government regulations that forced weekly meetings to stop entirely. And while Smash Bros. Modders attempted to keep things going, Nintendo was quick to strike down their effort with the DMCA takedown. However, through all the trials and tribulations, many developers and players alike were able to connect with each other in new, creative ways, keeping spirits up across the board. Furthermore, even games that didn't actively encourage safe behavior helped to ease people through a difficult year. 2020 is a year that most will be in a hurry to leave behind, and the games industry did not escape unscathed. But for every game-breaking bug, last-minute delay, or sold-out console, there's a story to be told about how games kept the world sane when sanity was a tall order. Communities and developers alike banded together across genres, cultures, and oceans just to make the time pass a little easier, and that's something that won't be forgotten.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And we are back. This is Timeless Gamer, the podcast. And it's been 2-3 weeks since the last time we did this. So, for all of you guys who are still finding us for the first time, well, we are Timeless Gamer, and we talk about video games, the news, the issues, and our for all of our previous episodes that you haven't seen, you can still go to our Facebook page at Pinoy Retro Gaming, or just going by the YouTube channel of Timeless Gamer, which is Timeless Gamer PRG. And if you can also listen to us by going to your favorite major audio streaming platforms out there. So previously on Timeless Gamer, we were able to discuss our favorite music themes, soundtracks of some of our favorite video games per every console. Well, not every console generation, but from the first Nintendo S- NES all up until the PlayStation 2. And it was a very fun show. You guys can go and check the replay. It's all available on the Facebook channel of PRG, the Timeless Gamer YouTube channel, and of course the audio version of that is also available in all of the major audio streaming platforms out there. So, joining us for the panel for today, we got Sir Joel Banyaga native from Jersey.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. Very, very glad that everybody's here, and very, very glad that we're back on the air. Looking forward to the discussion, and make sure to join us in the chats. For those of you in the audio portion, hey, just chat away anyway at the Pinoy Retro Gaming Facebook page.
All right, thank you for that, Sir Joel. And how about Sir Ray, Retro Freak Gaming?
May buhok na ako. What's up, guys? Magandang gabi and good
Translation:
morning.
he's already got hair. Okay.
I got hair, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not bald anymore.
Okay, there
All
you go.
righty. And
Mix of
how about
banana.
1, 2, 3, go, Sir JDM?
Hello, good day, guys, and welcome to Timeless Gamer. And we're going to discuss a topic that surely everyone could relate during the late 2019 up until actually right now.
We're still feeling
Yeah.
the aftermath of that. Thank you for that, Sir JDM. And how about joining us all the way from the UK, Sir Viraj?
Hey, hope you guys are keeping well. It's glad to be back after a bit of a break, but it should be a very interesting episode where we cover a great deal of, well, it's a somber subject, but we've also some good has come out of it, I'd like to think. So look forward to the show. And yeah, back to you, Sir Joe.
All right, thank you for that, Sir Viraj. And a rare Pokemon just appeared yet again, gracing us with her presence in the show. Miss Eileen, Enslin
What
Porter.
type of Pokemon is Eileen? Gen 1 or Gen 2?
Gen 3, mate.
I guess Gen.
Gen
I'm
Z.
old. I'm Gen 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Timeless Gamer podcast. I hope you enjoy our discussion on gaming under lockdown.
All right.
I like the subtitle or the description that Miss Eileen made. Registered nerd.
Registered nerd, yes.
He's an RN. A registered
Applies
nerd.
to Sergio and Sir Raymond as well.
Mm. What kind of nerds? All kind of nerds. All righty. So, in this particular episode, guys, so like Sir JDM mentioned, it's a very more of a personal topic to everyone who experienced the COVID pandemic, the late 2019s, and the remnants of it up until now in 2022. Not as bad though, not as bad. But during the years of 2020 and 2021, we all felt that, and whether for better or for worse, it did change the landscape as it did, and it's still quite prominent with the change up until now. So for this episode, it's been suggested by Sir JDM. So he's gonna be taking the charge for this evening, and it's just a pretty straightforward going to be a discussion or a conversation, just around robin of sharing experiences and anecdotes on what kinds of gaming experiences that we had and how COVID influenced the gaming industry in association with all of the gamers, especially us. All right, so JDM, take it away.
All right. So
Oh, not as
tonight
bad.
we're
But during the years of 2020 and
Oh, there you go.
oh,
oh, there's an echo.
right. So we're going to start with
Oh, not as
the
bad. But
COVID-19
during the
pandemic.
years of 2020
So when did it start? Um, as far as I know, it started back in December of 2019, where the first contact was discovered in Wuhan, China, right?
Mhm.
Back in December 2019. And then it started spreading globally in the start of 2020. And I remember 2020, we got like a whole lot of things happening. We had these fires in California, if I remember the wildfires. We also lost one of the most famous basketball player back in January, uh, Sir Kobe Bryant. And I think it's a really bad start of the decade because really a lot of things happened during the first few months. So, if I may ask, what is the COVID-19 virus? What does it do? Can we ask anyone from our registered nerds regarding the COVID-19 pandemic? What does it do? How what does it do to our body? What its effect in our body, and that
Anybody can step up. Just the brass tacks of
yeah.
what the effects were on the human body, and how severe it got. Mhm. Anybody? Oh,
Well, people,
I think Joe, you're on mute.
Sorry. Mostly COVID has been affecting the pulmonary system of people. Um, it's mostly severe respiratory distress. Some have cardiac problems, and those who fortunately survive, unfortunately, have long-term effects. Unfortunately.
Mm.
And it's
So,
spread airborne. That's why we have been masking, and that's how it spread worldwide with movement of people. And in the early days when nobody knew what it was yet, that's how people uh, got the disease, so to speak.
mhm. Okay.
Right.
Oh,
Eh,
I mean, it was pretty scary when from the man on the ground perspective. We here in the United States, we only started hearing about it around, about the same time, December 2019. We'd heard about a disease starting to spread. We were kind of hoping that it wouldn't go as far as worldwide, and we were starting to talk about it a little bit as early as 2019, 2020. But uh, as the disease spread, people started to panic. People started to hoard toilet paper everywhere, and it went people went a little crazy with hoarding. I myself, I have to admit, during that time, I became a prepper. I became a doomsday prepper. I bought food supplies that are going to last about 5 to 10 years. So I still have it in my pantry right now. So
whoa.
yeah.
All right, so it's just important to mention, guys, at least an introduction to COVID, because
Mhm,
for us gamers, we're inside people anyway.
mhm,
So who cares what's happening outside, right?
mm.
I care.
He cares because he drives people around,
Yeah,
Mm,
I did care.
and we registered nurse, we care because we treat these people. All right,
mm,
the infected people. But in regarding with gaming, and most people at the time didn't realize that, because how COVID spread, not a lot of people are supposed to be working close to each other, talking to each other, because it spreads it spreads rapidly and very highly infectious and infectious, contagious. Yeah, and like and especially with major game developers, where when they are working on specific games, working in such a very small working conditions, it's very easy for them to be infected. It's easy for them to get sick. Not to mention uh, with hardware production. In case of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and Series X, which is weird because knowing what the pandemic uh, will affect globally, Sony and Microsoft still proceed announcing the release of both systems on the last quarter of 2020. And when people heard of the pre-orders, they couldn't keep up with the demand because they are missing the missing components. Why missing components? Because we cannot really mine for for the necessary minerals and for the minerals and materials to make up all of these gaming machines. So so all of the major industries were affected, and and then a lot of people had to resort to different sorts of hobbies just to keep them sane, just to
Mm.
pass the time. While everything in the world is, everything else in the world is on fire, or who knows what's happening outside. And to some, they were able to. They were able to discover a hobby that they thought was juvenile. To others, such as the old gamers, they had the time to find more time playing the old games that they had, go on with their backlogs. And to some people, they went into streaming, whether watching movies, watching TV shows, binge watching, or
Yeah.
just playing games, the amateur ones anyway. Put a camera in front, play the games, and just do whatever. And
Mm.
some of them are quite been successful. Some are just doing it for the fun of it. But either way, we'll just ask the rest of the panel on their experiences.
Mm.
How about Sir Viraj?
In regards to how the pandemic affected the gaming scene here in
Yes.
the UK,
Mm.
well,
Especially in the UK. Oh my God.
it's very interesting. So, just to touch on what you said about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, yes, I mean, and even the Nintendo Switch, I want to put it out there, that sold out, and that was hard to get, okay, because it was a catalyst. So there weren't no like I think people were what made the PS5 such a big deal in 2020 when the pandemic hit its peak, and when it was sort of when they eventually found a vaccine and all that was going on. And I just want to put it out here that the UK was the first to develop that vaccine, so you're welcome. So joke about these sort of things, but I remember my neighbor actually lives next door said to me, "Hey Viraj, I want to get a PS5." Is how he talks. I want to get PS5. What do you think? And I looked
Is
at him.
he Italian? Okay.
No, he's actually South Indian. But he talks like this.
Right.
Oh, okay. The way that you said, I want to get the PS5. Okay.
This one?
That one, yeah. Anyway, continue, Raj.
I looked at him and I thought, "Are you serious?" Like, I said, "You're not going to get one, man. You should have pre-ordered back in the summer because it was literally if you pre-ordered first straight away, you would have got one." Okay, he pre-ordered like quite late. Like we're talking like November time. He pre-ordered for a December release. I thought, "Good luck, mate." And he pre-ordered with these two retailers, and guess what? They came through. He managed to get two PS5s, and I don't know how he did. He goes, "Hey Viraj, do you want a PS5? I got two now. I'm like, fine, buy it from you." And because I knew how I knew it was a hot product, and you're gonna say, "Viraj, you're dark here. You're grim." Nobody could get one. I knew nobody could get one. It's Christmas is coming up. People wait last minute. I said, "Right, I got a PS5, guys, in my friend circle. Who wants one?" And there was a bidding war between my friends. I didn't even have to put it on eBay. That's how quick it was to sell. CEX were offering me, I think they offered everyone £700 for a PlayStation 5 to resell it for more. That's how silly it got. I sold mine at £901 sterling. That's how desperate somebody was for it. And The reason people were desperate for it is because COVID had been such a negative. It had been such a down. It had damaged people's lives. It damaged our social lives here in the UK. We were locked down. We couldn't do anything. We needed a high. People were desperate to get that high, and the PlayStation 5 was the high of 2020. I don't care what anyone says. That was the high people wanted to pay money to buy, and
Yeah.
they did. And that was
And
the
scalpers have the scalpers
Yeah.
get some cash on that.
they got a lot of money. Some cats
They got a lot of money.
because they couldn't sell them all. Some scalpers actually it burnt them because they couldn't sell their PS5. And now the PS5 is worth £400, so all the scalpers are going to be like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's the retailers here. They're selling the PS5. I think there's a discount right now for the PS5 for about. You can get it for $460 right now. So that's
yeah. I mean, that's
very
because we
reasonable.
know they're going to bring out a slim. I shouldn't say better one, a slimmer one than this.
Yeah,
cheaper.
an iteration. The next version of it.
But
Yeah,
going back to how it affected the UK's gaming scene. Yes, people couldn't go out and game, etc. The arcade scene. We all know what happened to Sega. They had to close down the arcade business, and that was really bad. That was really sad as well for me. Anyway, no, I'm not in Japan. That was their bread and butter for Japan. Sega of Japan. They had to close down their arcade business, and I don't think they really recovered from that. You know, so the social aspect of gaming, of going out and gaming, that changed. But however, you know, when you're locked down, home alone, all these Gen Xers, or Gen Ys, millennials like me who are into this sort of stuff, it didn't bother us that much. Okay, it didn't bother us. I mean, it was a great thing because we were locked up. We had all the time in the world to just play video games all day. We're great. It did affect a lot of people's mental health because gaming can also be a social enterprise as well. You want to be doing the couch co-op thing with your friends, and that's where it sort of can affect you. But it affected gaming because there was a boom in gaming. We talk about the PS5 being the mainstream thing, but let's talk about retro gaming. Gen Ys and X's, we're not necessarily always into the newer stuff. Retro games prices started to escalate, and they escalated rapidly. Okay, these games were already expensive then anyway. They've been climbing this last decade, but they rapidly shot up a lot more, 100% more than they should have done, because people were buying up all this retro gaming stock. It got ridiculous. There were Sega Mega Drive games that I knew were £100 are now £400. It just got silly now. So, you know, it was because the supply was fine, and the demand was really high because everyone was at home. And that's how it affected the gaming scene. Retro gaming, it got a new high, and it hasn't come down even from the pandemic because all the stock has been bought up now. Yeah? It is literally a lot of it's been bought up. And now, I'm not saying it's all been bought up, it's still there, but it's just really expensive. You know, and I for those of you watching or for those of you in the panel, you know I've started my own little retro gaming reselling business. That also has its trials and tribulations because of what happened. But because of the pandemic, it has brought a new light that shone on retro gaming. There's so much more emphasis on it, and there's so much more interest in retro gaming and the games we love. And people also value their spare time more. Remember, people in the UK used to go to work. Now they have new contracts with their employers that allows them to work from home, so they have more time. They don't have to commute. If they're all office jobs and they can do their work at home on their laptop, productive. A lot of people work from home now. People have more time to game. So that's also affected gaming in general in the UK. Well, I'm saying in the UK scene. I'm sure it's affected it globally, but people have more time to work from home now. Employers are more lenient now with them. You don't have to come to the office. As long as you get work done at home, we're happy. If you have to find a job, obviously, if you're into barbary and if you drive trains for a living, you don't have that luxury, sadly. but you know, if you have a job where you can actually sit at home and do what you got to do, get it done, and you have more time to game, more kudos to you. You're lucky.
Well,
so it's the gaming scene as well. Well, one, retro game price has gone up. More emphasis on retro gaming, more time to game. So there you have it. That's what's changed in the UK. That's what COVID did. It made people a lot more into games and more into hobbies that don't necessarily allow you to be social with other people. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Time will tell.
Well, I'd say in Viraj's case, he got his he scratched his itch of driving trains by playing train simulators at home during the time.
You're funny man. You're funny man. Just imagine for my birthday, you send me something in the mail. It's a train.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Expect the newest version of Train Simulator World 3 in your mailbox.
You want to wind me up, yeah? That's what you do. You send me a bloody train video.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was from our UK correspondent, Sir Viraj, and what was happening in the UK. How about all across the Atlantic? Because COVID was such a big political deal.
Mhm.
Let's hear what Sir Joel has to say. What was happening on how the U.S. handled COVID and how things you handled it?
It was it. Sorry to have to say this. Pardon. If you have children, I'm gonna have to start swearing, so cover their ears. Uh, it was a total shit show here in the United States, really, honestly,
It
because of the
was.
fact that it people had no idea what was coming down. Everybody was just saying contradictory things. Some would say that it's absolutely nothing. Some would say it is the second coming and everything. Everybody was just crazy one way or the other. Like I said, there was a run on toilet paper. There was people buying stuff. The grocery shelves were completely cleared out, and people were locked down. Everybody just hunkered down in their houses. People were wiping their groceries with Lysol wipes whenever they would order in, and everything. It was insane, honestly. And the in the beginning, a lot of people started saying it was easy, it was nothing. People were saying you can even go party in Chinatown if you feel like it. And then the same people would flip the next day and say, you'd better find the latest mask, N95 mask, or else you're one breath and you're gonna drop dead. It was just a lot of misinformation. It affected the political scene like crazy here in the United States, and it sharply divided the country. It sharply divided the country into two factions: the people who took the news, both extremes, honestly. Some people just took the news to the point where they would literally scream at anybody who's getting close to them within 6 feet. And there's the other side who would say, well, like that's absolutely nothing. Come on, it's just a little cough. They'll just take a little zinc. You should be fine within the next couple of weeks. So the lingering effects are still here. A lot of people are still going crazy over it. Some people are saying that there's going to be a repeat of it sometime soon. But my personal take is a lot of people have said that's enough. If they're gonna try to do COVID 2.0 here in the United States, a lot of us are not going to comply. A lot of us are just gonna say, in Philippine parlance, it's patay kung patay. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's like it's one of the things that people went literally insane over. And in terms of gaming, that was a time when the PlayStation 5 came out, when the Xbox Series X came out. Like Viraj said, the Nintendo Switch sold out completely. You couldn't find the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X anywhere. Like, you would go into any retail, you would ask anybody. Both consoles, the Xbox and the PlayStation, were selling for $1,000 a piece. Easy. As in, somebody puts it up in Facebook Marketplace, it's gone within the next hour. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much the person was putting it up for. Scalpers were having a heyday. Everybody was looking for it. All the scalpers were making money hand over fist. So it didn't matter that there weren't many games for both consoles yet. They just had to have it. I completely agree with Raj. The search for the new consoles was the new high. It wasn't so much the consoles themselves, it was the search for the new consoles that people were going for. And that was the game that people played. People socially distanced, people hunkered down, people wanted to game. And I completely agree with Raj. In the United States, retro gaming took off like crazy. People dug into their backlogs. People started buying retro games left and right, and they started discovering systems that they never played before. People started playing Atari 2600 that they were usually used to playing just the NES. People started playing PC games when they were originally just console gamers. People started buying gaming rigs, PC gaming rigs by the $1,000. It was utter chaos, and the people who knew how to make money made money. That's all I have to say about it. Mhm.
Correct. A lot of what you said is pretty much what happened here in the UK with the whole toilet roll thing, and it's funny. It's all
UK and the USA don't have tabo. And
Oh
that's
yes,
why.
that one. That's true.
Well, I mean, if you've got like a B dial, you can use it. And I do have a portable B dial that I use because really, I don't want to sort of go down this road when it comes to how to clean your backside. I don't want to
Mm.
controversy there. There are those who do use it, and I think it's the freshest way to do it, in my opinion.
Completely agreed.
We have that sort of thing too. But anyway, moving on.
No, completely
You
agree.
made my hand dirty. The hand that I wiped with.
A little bit of trivia. Viraj just recently learned about the Philippine practice of tabo, which is
Yeah.
The dipper.
pail of water and a bucket. So
I'm eating
It's
now
much
with my
more
fingers,
cheaper
though.
than tissues.
I completely
It
agree.
is, and when you're wiping your backside, you don't want to like put your pants up and it's all wet, do you?
Precisely.
You
Exactly.
want to have wetness, but you also want tissues to dry it up as well, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
there's
but
Maybe
at least
bring
we were able to
We live in a
we were able to wash everything off. No skid marks here. All
maybe
right.
bring
So
some
we have to
blower.
move
so
on.
uh,
We've gone too low this conversation. We need to bring it back to something high. Okay, move on.
all right. So toilet paper aside, let's
Mhm.
go now. Let's put the spotlight down to Southeast Asia, to the Philippines. So how did COVID affect the Philippines, and how was the gaming scene over there? Let's go to Miss I. Pasok.
Well, personally, I have been working from home even before the pandemic on my previous job. So, personally, for me, nothing really changed that much. But in terms of gaming, uh, remember those lockdown periods, we could not go out very easily. So, the last resort would be just through delivery. And we know how deliveries were also difficult during that time. And then people started selling on Shopee, Lazada, and even Data Blitz are selling online as well. But there's also other, I forgot the names of the other stores, but there are other gaming physical brick and mortar stores that turn to digital selling. So the people, I would say, enjoyed games even more because they had more time. And I found more Filipino streamers, to my surprise, that are streaming locally on Facebook or rather than Twitch. So that was a surprise for me. So that's what I noticed during the pandemic, the early days of the pandemic, working from home. I'm not sure what other Filipinos' experiences were, but I would love to hear them as well from other co-panelists.
How about your gaming experiences during that time?
For my own gaming experiences, since I was working at home, um,
No.
during the weekends we have family time, but to stay at home. So I had more time to play. I less the computer, the desktop, Windows. Then I started buying more games on Steam, GOG, and because of the lockdown, I was more digitally or online as well from eBay, Amazon, and I have
Hmm. Oh,
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties from Miss Eileen's reception. Yeah,
am I
generally,
back?
yeah, there you go. I think Miss Eileen is coming back now. All right.
What were you
I'm not
saying, Miss Eileen?
I'm not sure where did I leave off. What was the last thing I said? Sorry, I'm not sure where the signal cut off.
It kind of faded in and out a little bit. About I'd say in the past, when you started saying something about a little past the Shopee portion.
Oh, the shopping. Well,
Yeah.
that's quite far. Stupid internet. Sorry. So,
Mm.
um, I was able to buy games
Oh,
more
no.
on
Sorry. It started fading in and out after the GOG portion. Sorry.
oh the. So apart from buying from Steam, GOG, Epic, I also was online to
Mm.
Amazon, eBay. So I also got my own physical hauls like that. So these are
Oh,
all the stuff I bought online because I
Okay.
show
also
and tell.
prefer physical games over
Show and
digital.
tell.
which was already.
For those
It's
of
just
you
a
in the
free
audio
game.
portion, Miss Eileen is flashing her treasures right now, like
What are those?
dream drop distance, and
What are those?
enumerate them, Miss Eileen. Enumerate them.
Enumerate one by one.
Yeah.
For the benefit of our audio listeners, one of the games I bought during the lockdown is one of my um, top want list. I would say Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
Mm,
Okay.
nice
This
one.
usually sells for 25
Great
US,
game.
but I got this for 10 USD on Amazon. Just 10, complete with manual.
Nice.
Then what else? Shout out to Barona Royka Gami, who said earlier that he was almost done playing this game during the lockdown. I'm still in the progress of starting this game.
I bought
I'm still
that for
about
my
to start.
cousin as a gift. That's a good game. I bought it for my cousin as a gift
Kingdom
many years
Hearts
ago. He
3D.
loves it. Mm.
Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. I actually haven't finished the. Forgot the other one with the 1.5 days. I'm almost done with that, so I can already switch to DDD. And I wanted this Dragon Ball game, action game. I bought this from I think uh, Rakuten or Yahoo Auctions Japan. I prefer the US, no, not the US, the Japanese version because it has the Japanese opening anime, the Makapushigi Adventure, not the US English theme song. And I'm not sure if Sir Joel remembers this. I remember playing this on Steam before.
Perfect
It's the
performer.
rhythm game, the weird one with the band.
I don't think I've tried that one
It's
before.
quite a while. It's been quite a while, so I'm not sure. It's the
Perfect
one Sir Joel
performer.
with the. Can you see it? I know. Yes, the one with the band.
Ah.
There's a band singing, and you play
Mm,
whatever instrument, either the vocalist, the drummer, or the bass or rhythm guitar player. It's on
mm,
PS1.
mm.
I don't know if anybody knows the band The Yellow Monkey, but they
The Yellow
sang the
I
Monkey.
don't
first
know.
ending of Rurouni Kenshin, and the lead singer Kazuya Yoshii sang the opening of Dragon Ball Super.
Mm,
And
okay.
Ah,
Uh,
I
so
forgot the
it's
name.
like I think
The,
it's like
then
para para rapper like that.
a little bit like para the
almost
rapper. Okay,
Ah,
okay. Well,
a
that's the
rhythm
nice thing
game, but
about
it's a concert.
that's the nice thing about having Miss Eileen on the panel. She shows such interesting stuff that you just say, "I've never heard of that one before," or and something like, "I haven't thought about that game in the longest time. I have to try that." So that's it's always a treasure. Miss Eileen
yeah.
is our one
Thank
of
you,
our
Sir Joe.
treasures. There you go.
And there's also the last one I bought during the pandemic. This is called Project V6.
Mm,
This is a visual novel game where you play as the group Japanese pop group V6.
hmm.
So you play as their manager because V6 is a pop group from Japan under the Johnny's Entertainment label. If anybody knows that,
Okay.
the one of the members of V6 is the person who played Ultramantiga. If anybody remembers, so he's a member of a pop group. So
That
I've
would be
always
more
liked
of our tokusatsu experts here in Pinoy Retro Gaming, like Core Gundam plays or JDM. JDM might know more about that. Yeah.
this. For anybody who recognizes Ultramantiga, he's a member of V6. I'm a fan of
Mm,
V6, so I bought this.
nice.
So
Very
it's a
cool.
variety of games.
Management games. I absolutely love them, but the fact that it's in Japanese, I'll have to play it with my cell phone right in front of me using Google Translate so that I can understand what's being talked about. But yeah, I would definitely play something like that. I love management
Yeah,
games when you're managing a band or a group and trying to making them get more popular, getting them more money. Reminds me of
yeah.
Princess Maker. Princess Maker, if you
Yes,
remember that. Yeah, there you go. Excellent, excellent.
I'm actually panicking internally because I have a guidebook of this one. There's like
Hmm.
a walkthrough book all as well, but I cannot find it for some reason. And I think where is it?
It's
So
okay. We know that feeling. You know, you have something, you know it's somewhere over there. You just have to dig it out too.
it's
All
somewhere in the
right. Yeah, there you go. All right, excellent. Back to you, Joe.
Oh, So that was from one of the metropolitan areas. How
Mm.
about we go to Cebu? Sir JDM,
Mm. Mm-mm.
what was happening in Cebu at the time? I think they handled COVID a little bit differently than
Yes.
the capital did. So what was the scene, and what was the gaming experiences like?
Okay, as your COVID lockdown correspondent in the Queen City of the South, there were panic buying everywhere, especially during the Holy Week. It was the city was on lockdown. I guess March, last week of March or early April, and I remember when back when I was working in Cebu IT Park. There was an urgent meeting that happened during office hours, and we I didn't even know that there's going to be like a lockdown, because as we know back then, I mean the pandemic was not like announced yet globally by the WHO, and there were not even a notice from the local government yet. Then our team leads, they got out of the boardroom, and they started like putting labels on our PCs, and that's when we started. What's happening? Is this a drill or something like that? And they just announced that every every employee is going to be working from home the next day. So that's why they placed labels on our equipment. And so yeah, regarding the lockdown, people here in Cebu are so hard-headed. Um, there was even like a what do you call this, city ordinance that everyone should not be going outside, 18 below and 60 year old above. But when I go outside our house, I see every like small women and children and even old people like gossiping around. They do like a small crowd with their mask, and they started to talk about the pandemic. And people even uh like hoarded food and groceries, and they did not observe social distancing. So it's like finding needle in a haystack in a large crowd. There was even like a platoon of armed forces that was tasked to uh, like do checkpoints, but people are still gathering around. They're they're panicking. I don't know what's in their minds during that, because me and my partner were just in the room, so we're working from home. And then another another funny thing happened, because there was a festival near our town. They did a parade in the middle of a lockdown, and that was I think that's the extended community quarantine, and everybody was not supposed to go outside. The local government said that they already had the budget, so no, we're going to go through with this parade because we already have the budget. As long as we're following the minimum safety procedures, they still went there in the road. They closed the road. They did the parade, and that's why the the infection rate increased because of that. And yeah, that was the experience that we had here in Cebu. People are very hard-headed. Even if you say that don't go out after in after curfew hours, they still go out. They even do like gambling outside. I don't know. It's really bizarre. Maybe they're trying to just pass the people are not used to uh, uh, the normies are not used to locking inside at home, locking themselves inside their home, so they just go around, stroll around like there's no pandemic.
Mhm. Did
And
anyone here actually get COVID? Who's actually had it here in this panel?
I did back
Surprisingly, I
in
never did. I never did. Hmm.
lucky
Okay.
for you because I did back in
Mhm.
January um, last year
Mhm.
because we went uh, because during the pandemic in 2021 there
Mhm.
was a typhoon here, right? December of 2021
Mhm.
we had a typhoon, so there were power interruptions. I need to go back to the office to work, and I think that's the time that I think around December or early January that I got the flu because it's flu season. It's cold everywhere, and I had at first I just did I had the flu. Then when um the health professional asked when did I get the flu, I got it like 2 weeks or a week ago. Then they asked me to do a test for COVID. Then it turned out positive. So back then I didn't know what to do. So what I did is I called the office. Then I said that I had it. Then they asked me to go on quarantine, personal quarantine for 2 weeks. But I got better because it's the I guess it's if I remember, it's the Delta variant, the one with the high infection rate. But it
Yeah, that
it's
came
yeah,
from India. That one. That's the Delta
yeah
variant, the
it
Indian variant.
but the effects is not the effect of the Delta variant is not that fatal because you just it it seems like you just had the flu,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
that, the headaches. But I didn't experience like shortness of breath or loss of appetite.
This is the
It's just the
question. This is
flu,
one
yeah.
question, JDM. Right? Could you still game while you had COVID? That's the question. You still play video games?
Yeah, yeah,
So
of
you weren't.
course. I Because uh when I was on when we were on personal quarantine, uh we still didn't have power. We didn't have current in up until February or first week of February. So what I did is I bought like battery what they call this, like power bank.
a power
Mhm.
bank,
Yeah, power bank.
charge bank.
Yeah, I go to work. I charge that. I charge my Switch. I charge um my 3DS. Then when I get home, I play. I I rest. No. Back then I didn't have the when I was in lockdown. I didn't go to the office, but I asked someone, uh, like a friend, to charge the power bank, then so and charge the Nintendo Switch. So when he comes back, I play the games until the battery runs out, and that's it.
Hmm.
Cool, cool. Interesting.
I
All
have
right,
to,
thank you for that.
as a follow up though, I do remember the missus and my daughter getting COVID, but I never did. It's weird. It's like I took care of them the
Oh,
whole
so shame
time.
on you. Shame on you for them getting COVID.
What?
Um, According to research, COVID will only latch to people who don't have money. So
Oh,
if you have disposable income, then it will not approach you. It
So
will not
that's
last
the
long for you.
reason
oh,
why I and JDM had COVID. Okay.
Oh,
Mhm.
because you
And
guys
that's
had
the
tons of
reason.
cash.
And
Okay,
Tito
I
Yeah,
get
Joel
it.
if
doesn't
if you don't
have.
have money, yeah.
All right.
this is what this is. For, only brokies can get COVID. Is that what
Oh
you're
Mm.
my
saying?
Only
gosh, that
broke
is.
people got COVID, and Tito Joel is not one of the people of
Now you made me think about that quote. Having a kid is like having a broke best friend. Who hangs around you all the time.
what?
Oh, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
like
gosh.
that.
Anyways, continue. Go ahead. So, anyways, JDM, it's back to you.
Okay. By the way, enough with the personal experience. I also would like to add regarding the how did COVID affect the how the pandemic affected the gaming scene.
Mm,
So we were talking about the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and also the
Oh,
scalpers. We were talking about the
oh,
scalpers earlier.
sorry, Sir Jim.
We
Before we go to
were.
that, how about Sir Ray?
Ah,
How
yeah.
oh yeah,
about
yeah.
his? How about how COVID affected his gaming habits?
Yeah, it's been
Sir
very
Ray.
quiet.
Okay.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
okay. Sige. COVID was what? Last ba? It started February here
Mm,
in the Philippines. So little by little they got some they get some census or cases, and by March Philippines gotten around 10, and that's the panic button for our hospital, kasi parang ang nangyayari nagpa-meeting, may hospital got a meeting, sakto general meeting ng hospital, and basically, they told us na we're avoided to get some vacation leaves or something, because that there's a pandemic
They needed the
arising,
staff.
and that's COVID. So
Yeah.
that's the so March, April, and then March, suddenly the census of COVID was booming here in Manila. So ang nangyari, konti ang tao, kasi basically the staff are one by one being affected of the COVID.
mhm.
So we're understaffed. So practically some of our wards have closed, and we're basically on the emergency side of the hospital, and at the same time I managed to got parang hindi in a term that nagkaroon kasi yung the mayor of Pasig was um, sorting out or hinihiwalay niya yung mga staff sa pamilya niya. So ang ginawa niya, nag-ano siya, nag-rent siya ng mga motel rooms dito sa Pinas o sa Pasig. And I got the chance to to get one of the rooms of Victoria Court. If you know Victoria Court, you know Victoria Court.
Yes, if you know, you know. And Raymond is basically saying that the mayor utilize what we call
Some of the hotels.
love
Yeah, yeah.
motels in the
Love
Pasig
motels.
area,
And that's
in the
Good
area
for a
when
good
I
cause.
started
for a good
playing
cause.
again. Yeah.
For a good cause.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So that's the time that I started playing my retro consoles. For example, I dinala ko yung dinala ko yung Wii ko sa hotel ay sa motel for
Mhm.
that pag may pastime I play Wii and luckily my Wii was was soft modded. So
Mhm.
all of the games from GBA, SNES,
Mhm.
NES was there.
Mm.
And April, May, the actually there's a good side of the good side of COVID is like we got the chance to save up. We got the chance to save up. There's a free grocery
Mm.
and there's a free transpo for
Mhm.
the staff
Mhm.
going to the hospital at the same time. Free grocery, free food, free all. And yeah, nakapag-save naman kami. And that's the time I was not mistaken. I first bought a Nintendo Switch for Mara and the game Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
that's the
Animal
time.
Crossing was huge
Yeah.
back in the pandemic days.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
actually
that's
Switch
true.
was booming that time kasi
Mhm.
all of the non-gamers were actually playing or buying
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
At the same time the scalpers of PS5 was there
Mhm.
kasi
Oh yeah.
May
Guys.
around May June was
Mhm.
the release of PS5 here
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
Mhm.
So the scalpers were practically the boomers that time and
Mhm.
um eventually yan got the chance to have a PS5 with in no scalpers.
I haven't
uh
even gotten a PS5 myself. No.
yeah.
Well,
It was mythical back then.
we can
No?
afford
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
Sorry.
we're supposed to be the rich guys because we never got COVID, right?
Ah.
But basically the game that's the actually
According to latest studies, if you have a PS5, the more likely you'll get COVID too.
I think
Oh my
that's what
gosh.
it is.
Forget
They
forget
were,
that's
mud.
the
they
thing.
were rich. They spent their money
I
on the
only got
PS5.
COVID when I got back home. So
Oh,
we got
okay.
the chance to live 2 months in Victoria Court. Then by June, we got the chance to get back home. And by that, and by that, and nung June, I got the COVID virus and was
Mm.
on a quarantine facility for 2 weeks.
Uh,
2 months
did
of
you
Victoria
did
Court.
you feel
I
the
can barely
effects of
last 2 hours. Anyway.
Ah,
Look, thank
in
God.
the
Look,
facility kasi, Tito Joel, I got the chance to play on
Oh yeah.
Vita,
The Vita. Yes.
Vita.
Vita is
So
excellent. Yes.
this is was my
Mm.
Talking.
escape.
kasangga on the
Mm-mm.
boredom of going in the facility.
I
Kasi
Mm-mm.
think
my Vita was also modded. So
Mm-hmm.
well, I
she
got
was
some
That's the best
PS1
mod.
RetroArch games and so I was not bored and I was not
Mhm.
um
He
actually
didn't went insane.
it's like
Look at JDM.
I'm in vacation mode that time. So that's it. The COVID started my gaming journey and my collecting journey.
Mm.
Mm.
And by June, Bell, ayan,
Mm,
Bell Valenzuela
mm,
contacted me kasi by June I started streaming kasi sabi
mm,
ko might as well stream habang wala. Actually, I'm also a photographer and that time photography was dead. So
mm.
I
No gigs.
no
No
gigs.
gigs, yeah.
So I decided I asked myself ano ba yung pwede kong gawin to
Mm,
earn money and
mm.
to socialize aside from kasi hindi ka puwedeng lumabas, eh. There's
Yeah, you
still
couldn't go out.
lockdown,
Mm,
ayan. So, I
mm,
decided to stream,
mm.
ayan, stream retro games and then all of a sudden, Bel Valenzuela contact me through PM, nakita niya
Mhm.
ako sa stream
Yes.
and then that's the story behind me going
Mhm.
to PRG,
Actually, that as a corollary, might as well put that out there because of the pandemic. That was when streaming boomed.
yes,
Everybody got
actually
into it. Mhm.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
Raymond
because
Raymond
of
mm,
because
Raymond
of
did
the
say.
COVID, yeah,
Mm,
the streaming
mm,
boom in the Philippines, and I
yes.
think so far in the world, eh.
Yes,
So yeah,
honestly,
that's it.
yeah. To Raymond's point, it's when well, our home organization, Pinoy Retro Gaming, really stood out. Like we had a bumper crop of people who were streaming both retro games and modern games, and we found all of these amazing people: Raymond Orendes, JDM, Jed De Jesus, everybody, all the people who are part of Pinoy Retro Gaming right now. A majority of them, honestly, just came from the streaming time like I said, gaming in the time of COVID, everybody started streaming, everybody started playing games in order to socialize, maybe to make a little bit of cash on the side. And those were the times when streaming, both good and bad, started coming out. The good side was the retro gaming side, people playing for the love of the game, and the other side were what we termed sando streamers, ladies who kind of had about 75% of their stream themselves showcasing
Right.
themselves and a small window with video games on the corner. So I mean, everybody had a hustle back then, and yeah, that's
Everyone
how
hustled, Tito
everyone
Joel, di ba?
hustled. I
Yeah.
agree, everybody
And
started
people
playing.
and most of us
Mhm,
hustled through
mhm,
streaming at the same time.
mhm,
Yeah, nabudol niyo ako. I did a
and
lot
we
of
found
research.
Raymond. Yeah, we're
Uh,
we're so happy to
yeah, and
have him.
the Boodle Masters were there.
Mhm.
The people, you should buy that one. You should
Oh
buy
yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. It's Raymond's pertaining to this term called budol in the Philippines, which is like a term for we're kind of inciting you to buy something. Like
They're
you,
influencing me, Viraj,
that's kind
to
of cool. You should buy
they're
that.
influencing me, Viraj, to buy more retro games.
There you go.
It's not,
So
they were not insisting it.
yeah,
It was a compulsion. They
yes,
were compelling him
You
to buy
should.
this.
You
They were
should.
compelling him to buy that.
You should.
yes.
No, but
There you go.
you should buy
I'll tell you
it.
something. This is very profound. What I'm about to say. This
Mm,
pandemic, a lot of people died. A lot of people died. That's
mm,
Yeah.
sad. Yeah, I
yes.
knew. I have a relative who died. I had a manager who I used to work for who died.
Mm.
Who I won't miss. But those sadly, look, people did die. People did pass away, and it made us appreciate life more.
It did,
Everyone here
most
True.
knew someone or knew someone like. Like gaming is an escape. Yes, it's fun. It's okay within reason. But then there's things that sometimes we look at games and we think, oh, it's £5 more than I'll pay. Maybe another time. I'll buy it
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'll buy it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Today,
Mhm.
seize the moment. Buy the
Yes.
game. That's what I say. Buy it. Just do it.
There
Just do
you
it.
go.
Buy the thing. That's what
Completely agreed.
it drives me nuts.
I personally handed some people that being dead because of COVID. Viraj.
Ah, yes,
So
yes, of course, of
yeah,
course.
it's a sad thing about
You go through life missing out on a video game that you wish you kind of would have played before you died. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Play a video game. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, look, how did the pandemic affect me, or what was I doing during lockdown in terms of games? Well, I bought this lovely toy. I know I've gone on about it in the past, but
Mm.
there's two things that I got up to. So there was this
Okay.
thing. Now, this
Mhm.
came out November 2019 for us in the UK because it was delayed. But this is mine and Sedan's favorite consoles because we are the Sega Mega Masters.
For the
Now,
audio portion, describe it for the audience in the audio portion,
it's
Viraj.
a mini.
this is what I'm holding up is a Sega Mega Drive Mini. Okay,
Mhm.
it's known as a Sega Genesis Mini for those less sophisticated people in America. So I love doing that. I love having my digs.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Hardware or the Genesis for
Mhm.
America. And as you can see, it came with 42 preloaded games, which were
Mhm.
great. Now, obviously, as the pandemic started to take off, because we heard about all the reports at the end of 2019 happening in China, and 2020 is where, really, from what we knew, when it started to happen really bad. 2020 was a terrible year. But in terms of this system, I bought it. I know Sega had really, what had damaged their brand was these At Games minis that had come out
Yeah.
before,
Mhm.
licensed. This was the official one that Sega built in-house with them too, and this is beautiful. And apparently, it didn't take long to get hacked because that January, someone had already hacked this system, and you could add more games to it. And during that 2020 year, I was locked at home. I thought, God, I'm bored. I've got nothing to do, man. I looked on the internet and I found people that were hacking this. And obviously, there was the Super Nintendo Classic Mini that got hacked. I took it upon myself to start a project with all this free time I had, being locked up at home, being isolated. Because even us train drivers, if we were in contact, the rule was in the UK, if you're in contact or a member of your family gets COVID, you have to isolate for 2 weeks. Okay. My brother's a doctor in a hospital, so he's going to get COVID. So I had to isolate for 2 weeks because of him. My mother works at a supermarket selling food to hundreds of people that come through in contact with her. So she got COVID, so I had to isolate. My dad's an immigration officer at the airport. Guess what? He got COVID. I had to isolate. I had 6 weeks of doing nothing, sitting at home. I had to do something, right? So I decided to mod this thing. But not only did I put every single Mega Drive game, no, that wasn't enough for me. I put every single Master System game on it, Sega SG-1000, Mega CD, 32X, it's all on here. So I put basically most of the retro, pretty much all of Sega's, retro video games here before pre-Saturn. And I put it on YouTube. Sorry, not YouTube. I put it on Facebook and showed everyone what I'd done. There's some people who sent me private messages saying, "Hey, Viraj, can you do the same thing for me?" And they're in London or whatever. Fine, you can come over. I'll do it for you. For a fee, of course, because I'm not a communist. So, yeah, they were happy, and that's what I did. And it was such a joy. And I still actually continue working on this book as homebrews and all sorts of stuff. And this is the ultimate way I like to play Mega Drive. It was so good, in fact, I even managed to get Sedan to buy one of these things off me because, getting him to buy something was hard. But anyway, he can now review all the games properly for the Mega Masters because it's an easier way to play Mega Drive than using original hardware. Just plug it into HDMI, you're done. How hard can you get? It works on a HD TV. So there's that. But then for me, in terms of gaming, that became the game, modding this thing. I was actually playing with it. Yeah, occasionally with games that I missed out on. But the one game that I really fell in love with, there we go, was this lovely thing here. This is called Aliens Infestation.
Oh.
And it's a Nintendo DS game. And I bought it on a whim because I thought, I need to play something. Now, I'm a big Aliens fan. I love the movies. I love the Aliens. Even the Alien 3 and Resurrection and the ones that weren't received as well by a lot of people. I like all of the films. Even Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator 2, which everyone said was rubbish. I still like the film. Okay? So I like any Alien film I'll always like to some extent. I have it. Or I have to enjoy it, or Predator or whatever. So, yes, it is disappointing because back in the 90s, there were Aliens video games, but half of them were good, half of them were okay. Nothing really stood out as being great. I think the only one that a lot of people talk about is Alien vs. Predator in the arcade by Capcom in the mid-90s. I don't know if you played that one.
That was the best.
That was the best.
Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, so you got there were a lot of this Alien trilogy that came after, and they were good games. And there's been a few good ones now. Alien Isolation is one that a lot of people love. Okay, and that was a good welcome because Alien Colonial Marines was really bad in terms of the glitchy mess that it was. This one, Alien Infestation, is a handheld 2D Metroidvania style action game. Yeah, and it was developed by a company called Way Forward. Sega have published it. Okay, something Dan will be happy about. I've told him to play this game because it's really good. Now, this game very much is set in the Aliens universe, and obviously you can hit the sound effects are literally from the movie. That's what makes it really good. The graphics are 2D, but they're very well drawn. The way the game plays out is there's a story, and you get little chapters in there, and you have to navigate through a section in, whether it's in the gunship, whether it's in the alien hive, or whatever it is. You have to navigate through it, and you've got a squad of 4 people that you have to play as. And the idea is to keep them all alive. If they die, then fair enough, but you're going to 100% the game. The idea is you go around and you rescue other people, etc. You solve puzzles, you get through the game, you fight an alien queen. You get to go through all that as well. But I tell you what, there are some jump scares in this, and that's what I love about this game. It's a 2D game. It makes you jump because the aliens come out of the walls and all sorts of things, and before you know it, you've got to react. And it's got you. So it really does have a good challenge to it. It really is a great game, Aliens Infestation on the DS, and I'd urge anyone who can get it or play it anyhow, you should give it a go because it was one of those late releases on the DS, so it was an unsung hero. So it came out just as the DS was coming to the end of its line and the 3DS came out, and the story is Sega were pressurizing Way Forward to hurry up and release this game, and Way Forward were like, no, we're not going to half do it. We're going to release it when it's ready. Chill. So they waited until the 3DS came out. Sadly, when the 3DS was out, all the focus on the 3DS and the 3DS games. The DS games and what was coming out for that didn't get much press. So this thing came out towards the end of its line, and not a lot of people bought it. I didn't. I had to buy this during the pandemic. I bought it in the end, and it still cost me a bit of money because it was a late release even then. And now it's gone up in price, this game, anyway, because how we talk about our retro gaming shot up. So this game is a great game for the DS. Give it a go if you guys have the time. But anyway, that was me during the pandemic. This kept me sane because it gave me something to do while I was feeling depressed because of what was going on in the world. I didn't want to watch the news. The news was the most depressing thing. So this is a good escape. Whether you're in the pandemic or even now, give it a go. If you love Aliens, if you love Sega Way Forward games, 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania games, I think that ticks a lot of people's boxes here. Give it a go. Right, back to you guys. I just want to finish that, and that's me done pretty much talking about this
All
whole
right.
thing.
Excellent. If I may put a little bit of a break on the conversation, I'd like to acknowledge the people in the chats first,
Yeah.
though, because we're here in Timeless Gamer. We are not just talking among ourselves in the panel. We also like talking to the people in the chats as well. The people who are listening to us, the people who are watching us. We love you guys. We absolutely love having you here. First things first, I'd like to acknowledge Barunoroika Gamitaglia, who says almost finished Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance during lockdown. So that's definitely a good game to have played through, and it was a good game. Let's see, another one that I'd like to acknowledge is Daniel Dignodice, who who we know as Dan Dice. We absolutely love the guy, friend of Pinoy Retro Gaming, who says, by the time of COVID, I bought a gaming rig since December 2020. Originally, I have no plans of streaming until my friend streaming Genshin. That's what I started streaming on March 2021. And that's how I met most of the content creators, especially PRG or Pinoy Retro Gaming. And of course, we have our in-house streamer also, Clark Plambiano, who says happy podcast PRG. Very, very happy to have you here, Clark. And of course, the president, the big shot, the big kahuna of Pinoy Retro Gaming, Bel Valenzuela, says, good day, team and everyone. Excellent. Very, very happy that Bel Valenzuela, the head of Pinoy Retro Gaming, has passed by. So yeah, it's the thing that we love here in Timeless Gamer. We love our audience. We absolutely love having you guys here, and we encourage you guys to join the conversation in the chats as well. Not just in the podcast, but also in the Pinoy Retro Gaming official page and wherever you find us. Just chat us up. We're more than happy to have you to hear what you have to say.
Thank
Back
you
to
so
you,
much, guys.
JDM. Mhm.
So, right, I believe we already got Viraj game, the game that helped him get through the pandemic. How about the others? Let's see, Miss Eileen.
Oh, sorry. A couple more people that I'd like
Oh,
to acknowledge here also is Mr. Kurt Labrado, who says prices rising up to very, very pertinent piece of information during the COVID pandemic. And of course, Mr. Chino Carlo Mendoza Santilue. Santuil, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry, Noche. No? Hello po, and yeah, may pogi po dito. Ako. Yes, yes, absolutely. He says there's somebody who's handsome, and that's him. Yes, absolutely. I completely
Niloloko mo
acknowledge
na
that.
naman ako, Noche.
No, very, very, very happy that you're here, Notch. Very happy. And yeah, that's a pertinent comment from Kurt Labrado, who says GPU prices rose up like crazy. Everybody was buying up graphic processing units to put into their PCs because everybody was upgrading their units. JDM. Mm.
yeah, I almost forgot about that one because we were talking about the console, the
Mm.
PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And remember, 2020 was also the year where Nvidia announced the RTX
Oh yeah.
3080, right?
Mm.
And back then, who are the others who are also cashing in some money? The Bitcoin miners, right? Because they hoarded all of the the video cards to mine for Bitcoin and what do you call that, Ethereum,
Yes.
that one. And luckily for me, I bought uh GPU back in January of 20 no June of 2020, when I got my like the half of my 13th month pay. um I was deciding whether to get the PS4 or the video card that I have. So I decided to buy the video card instead, because most of the games are being ported to the PC, especially the PS4, right? God of War, you got those other PS4 exclusives. So that's a really good buy, because a month later, the boom for the Bitcoin mining got high, and those miners are getting those video cards for like a bunch, like dozens, to mine some bitcoins. So the retailers increased the price rate, because they know that it's going to be the video cards back then, it's going to be mined. It's like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It's either you get one or you get mugged.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny because during that era, people were selling their their graphics cards and their computers because they realized how much CX would buy them for. And then they came back crying, realizing, oh, I need to buy a new graphics card after a while. And the price just stayed up. They thought it would go down. No, no, no.
Imagine I bought my graphics card at sort of a regular price. Then month or a couple of months after, it got like twice as much
Yeah.
than it was before. So it was like a really I got fortunate to get one on a regular, on the regular price than the like inflated one.
Yeah,
So
my personal choice of cryptocurrency is Dogecoin. You know, the coin
yeah.
with the dog in it. So, but yeah, I have to admit the GPU crisis prices went crazy. And Kurt Labrada, who said on the chats, actually did say even regular retailers selling at scalper prices. Yes,
The
it's
question I have
very
to
it
ask, the question
that
I
was
have to,
bad.
it's the question I have to ask you guys. Sorry, to
Mm.
interrupt.
Go ahead, go
Is
ahead.
what's the difference between a reseller price and a
Mhm.
scalper price?
Reseller price, you can factor in a good a reasonable profit margin. That's a
Yes,
reasonable profit margin. A
market price.
scalper price is it's unreasonable already. We're talking like, twice the price,
Twice the
Yeah.
twice,
But what if
thrice the
demand is
price.
It's inhumane almost.
inhumane.
is twice the price? Because people say,
Sorry,
"Oh, you're
In
a scumbag."
Tagalog, it's called balahura.
balahura. Yes, that's true. That's true. That's the term for it. In
It's a
general,
balahurang presyo.
there's a
But,
fine line between being a reseller and a scalper. A reseller can resell for a reasonable price. At least when you negotiate with him, he's still reasonable with his prices, and it's not insane.
so
When you're talking about scalper prices,
when I talked about at the start of my video about the
go ahead.
PlayStation 5 that I bought,
Mhm.
my
Yeah,
neighbor for £450, and
yeah.
then I put it out there and think, well, who's going to give me the best price for it? And I sold it for £901. Does
Mhm.
that make me a scumbag scalper?
No,
Or
that does not make you scumbag scalper. You were reselling a rare item
yeah,
that was in high demand one time.
yeah.
That's
Like for example,
Yeah.
just like Sir Chino told in the comment section,
Mhm.
PS5 here was sold around 60K.
Yeah.
Oof.
You were
Okay.
doing it one,
60,000.
yeah, Viraj, you were doing
And
it
it's
one time.
just
It was a
yeah.
one-off. A scalper is like
Mm.
somebody who does multiple sales of at insane prices, really
I mean,
basically fleecing somebody. You
right,
know,
so
fleecing.
so I'm selling. I'm going to sell this for 50, right? Because I think that's a fair price. But I've seen
Yeah.
some of them selling. I've seen some people selling for like £60 to £70 on eBay. So I
Mhm,
think, oh, that's. I don't think that's reasonable. But then
mhm,
I look at how do you get a fair price on retro video games? I mean, you can go on price charting and can say, okay, this is how much it is. But then you look at CEX and what they'd sell it for. But then what you find out in CEX is they don't even have it in stock and they're giving a price for it. So it's like,
mm.
okay, we look at eBay. So it's very hard. It's a very ambiguous thing because on one hand, it's very close. I'm actually on the borderline between being, a responsible reseller, but also a scumbag scalper. I'll be somewhere in between. But I realized that there's a demand for these products. There's such a
No,
demand, and especially the quality I've kept them in. So I
actually,
don't know.
if I can interject, Viraj, Gamitagle, Baruna Royka, basically handled it perfectly. He says scalpers are holding up, scalpers hold up supply and buying stocks mostly. They are the kind of people who amass stocks once they come into the store, basically leaving nothing for the
Oh, so
common the common
they buy
consumer.
multiple copies of something. So they buy like
Yes, they
five.
Right.
basically they leave nothing for the common
Yeah.
consumer to
Right.
purchase.
So
Like
I
If
those
mean, I
people who
suppose
buy the toilet paper, then
yeah,
sell it at
I mean,
reasonable price.
yeah, that's not so much a scalper as it is,
That's
a
a
buyer.
hoarder.
Yeah, a hoarder.
this
Yeah.
is what I've got on my table.
Hmm.
Does
Just
this make
like
me a
Mirage
scalper?
Hoarder.
You know,
Yeah, Viraj is a hoarder. There you go.
Oh.
I'm hoarding. I'm hoarding. I'm going to
There
sell
you
these in
go.
November, so I don't hold them forever. I do want to put it back on the market.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly the difference. The
I'm not
fact
going to
is
be one
that
of
you
those.
are doing it
I don't
as
want to be one.
a service. I think you're doing it as a service to people who are looking for these
Yeah.
things, really.
Yeah.
And you're not
These, I was just
you're
talking
not
to Joe. I was just
yeah,
talking to Joe
go ahead,
about these
Viraj.
Pokemon games that I bought. They don't have
Yes.
batteries in them that allow you to save anymore. If you buy a Pokemon game now, the batteries are probably flat. So what I'm going to do is I've got my soldering iron here. Okay, so there it is. Look, I'm going to take
Yeah.
the cartridge apart, unsolder the old battery in there, and then I'm going to put the new battery. I've got to buy some new batteries. They're only about a couple of pounds. And then it's the
Yeah.
hassle of taking the old battery and resoldering new batteries in there, so the game will save again, so it will play like it was. Okay.
What kind of battery does it take, Viraj?
Sorry.
What kind
That's
of battery
fair.
does it take?
It takes a CR 2025 tabbed battery.
2025. Okay.
Is that C22 C23?
25, Viraj says.
2025.
20.
Yeah.
It's
This one
different.
has a battery as well. It's a CR 1616, much smaller battery. And now the game will save. It's just that there are timed events and there's a clock on it that's gone flat, and that's what the battery is needed for. And these have gone flat too. So I'm providing a service. So I'm buying these things, I'm unscrewing them, putting new batteries in them, reselling them for a bit more money. But I'm providing a service to say this is the way the game will play when if you were to buy it new today.
Exactly.
So I don't think that. I think so on that aspect you're providing a service. So there's something like that's a very niche thing. I'll just pull out with
The thing about it is, Viraj, you're adding value to what you have.
So again, like within reason, I mean, this is a boxed Game Boy Advance, and where can you find this? How much are you going to get it for? I mean, I put a price there for £140. Yeah,
there you go.
I don't think it's like I'm not putting up 200 to 300 like some people might. I think £200 is ridiculous, especially now the Game Boy Advance SP exists, and you can get that for 200. So within reason, you've got the manual in here. So I suppose I'll probably do a free game with that price. I'll probably throw in a game with that to make it more valuable. So you've got a solution. I don't like selling boxes. I like selling solutions. You can buy this. You've got a game included. I'll probably throw a Mario Kart in there or something that can have enough for the price. So I suppose it's I suppose So I know we're going off on a tangent here, but this has everything to do with the pandemic in the sense that the way gaming has changed.
Yes.
People are using video games as a form of investment and making money off people who are desperate for these video games, but they can't find it anymore.
Yeah.
Now, that's supply and demand. Now, I've made my peace with that. That's capitalism, baby. That's just the way it is. However,
it's very true.
it has to be within reason. It has to be within reason. I can't be like taking a rare game, like I don't know, I've got something here that's rare. Anyway, there's this thing here. Okay, it's quite rare. Boxed and new, yeah. Now I've seen this go for a lot of money on eBay, yeah, for over $250. Okay, the red one definitely goes for like over $250 because it has this in there, the little wireless thing in there. Now, what am I going to sell these for realistically as a reseller? $250, maybe $230, somewhere between there, because that's fair. That's how much it should be, really. But there are some people that are like selling it for $270. I'm thinking, what is it made of gold? What is it?
I mean,
Mothers, gold filings from their teeth and put it in the cartridge. What are you doing with this? Like, this game is not like people aren't stupid as well. I will never ever instill intelligence to my customers because a scalper will know the meaning of it. Because if you put a price more than what it's worth, people just laugh at you and say, "Look, that game's not worth this." Like I remember watching this one guy on YouTube, and he was complaining about this, and he said he wanted God of War for the PS2, the first God of War game, right?
Okay.
Now we know that game's $15. Yeah, we all know it's a $15 game. This guy was selling it at a flea market of all places for $40. $40. And he was complaining about it, yeah? He goes, oh,
Mm.
$40, it's a bit high. And he goes, okay, I'll do it for 30 then. And then he was like, no, well, it's a $15 game on eBay, my man. Now, in all fairness, that man might have had a chance if he had it for $20. Yeah?
Mm.
You're paying for the premium of being there. It's in the store. I can take it. You're not paying for shipping. You don't have to worry for wait for it.
Yes.
But no, he decided to say, I knew what it's worth and all that. And he started to be very antagonistic. And
That's the thing. There was
that's
no
like-
meeting of the minds. Mhm.
And then he told you I was to buy on eBay now. So people know the value of these things. Don't insult the customer. I don't insult the customer. I know the value of it. I'll make sure I do my research before I sell it. I mean, I like to say I'm a respectable reseller, but I do know that there are some things here that I might inadvertently be scalping people for, simply because the tools that I have are not giving me an idea of exactly how much that game should be worth. There are some games that aren't even on price charting, aren't even on CEX, that are so obscure, I don't know what to price them at. So sometimes it's not, what I want to say is to people listening, sometimes people just don't know what their games are worth. So what do we price at resale? Obviously, if someone wants to make some money, that's fair enough. They want to put the prices up there. What I would urge to anyone who wants to buy video games, retro video games, if they're going to a stall, talk to the vendor. Talk to them. Don't just look at the price and walk away and think, oh, that's a bit expensive. Say, look, I'm interested in your game. That's the price. I appreciate you've got that price. But what's the best price you can do for me, my friend? Within reason. I can make you a reasonable offer, or make an offer. That's what I say to anyone looking to buy retro gaming scenes post-COVID, because obviously video games are quite expensive now. Just ask, because we want to sell this stuff. We don't want to sit. I don't want to sit on this forever, you know.
Well, there you go. Straight from the reseller himself. Ladies and gentlemen, ask about the prices, because you never know. He
We'll
might want to strike a deal with you.
JDM, we'll make a deal.
There you go.
Make a deal.
Excellent. JDM, I think it's that part of the show where we should ask individually what games we got us through. Viraj gave us his. It's Alien Infestation. Yeah, there you go. So
anyone, any one or two games that you have been playing mostly during the pandemic, around 2020 and 2021?
I might as well go first. I would say my gaming preferences during the pandemic were very eclectic. I went to both extremes. One side I went was the extremely slow side of gaming, which is the simulators. The simulator genre of gaming, which is the one game in particular that I really that I can honestly say I got into is a game called House Flipper. It's the game where you buy houses and you
House Flipper?
House Flipper. It's basically a game where you buy houses and you remodel them. You remodel them, you buy houses that have been run down, you go into them, you remodel them, you make sure that they are up to spec, and you sell them in the market to people who are looking for a particular house. So it's a nice and slow paced game where you do commerce. I'm sorry, my internet connection is terrible right now. But yeah, basically if you're into any kind of building remodeling type of games, this is the game that I was really very much into. My daughter introduced me to this.
Wow.
She started because a lot of people were on YouTube playing the game House Flipper, and everybody was getting into buying and selling houses. And it's Notch actually on the audience says, "Oh, I have that too, Sir Joel." And it's
Meron din si Mara, Tito Joel, na ngayon ko lang nalaman.
Oh, Mara has that too. Oh, there you go. The fact is, you
Sa
start as
Switch.
oh, there you go. Exactly. It's a nice, relaxed, fun game where you're not under a lot of pressure to do anything except to clean up the house, to remodel it, to make sure that it looks better from the mess the previous owners had left it in. And you make money by selling it. You buy low, you sell high. When you remodel it, it looks so much nicer. You paint it different colors, you arrange the furniture, you throw out all the trash, you kill all the cockroaches. So that is the gameplay loop that you get into. It's nice and relaxed.
The cockroach is real. I mean, do they move?
There you go. That's exactly it.
Do they actually you know,
Attack.
they hiss at you, these
The
cockroaches.
cockroaches, yeah,
Pati
you see
raw,
those tiny little
Tito
things
Joel,
running.
pati raw yung plumbing, inaayos din
Hate
siya.
Yes.
cockroaches, man. I
Yes.
hate them.
You fix plumbing, you fix the radiators, you fix the bathroom, you fix everything, the electrical outlets. It's a nice and relaxed game. Honestly, you go into a zen mode fixing the house. And the nice thing about it is you are under no time pressure at all. It's
For you,
your
Tito
own pace.
Joel, it's
Mhm.
a Zen simulator but for me, I think parang stress ano rin yan, stress game
And
din yan.
Raymond will have a lot of stress playing this game because he does this on a daily basis at home anyway.
This is real life.
I
It's
wish it
like me.
was that easy to.
Why would I
Mm.
want that? You know, I do this but this reminds me of you know that computer game you had, the one where you like build your own computer and sell
Yes,
it.
PC Building
Uh,
Simulator, the game that JDM hates. Okay, there you go, because he does it day to day.
This has definitely got similar tropes to that because you got something, you got an asset, and
Mm.
you're trying to make it better to make you money. So
Yes.
obviously, in that case, it was a PC, that was small scale, and this is a
Mm.
house, so it's obviously a much bigger thing.
In a way, it's a lot like what you do, Viraj. You acquire you acquire a piece of GBA hardware, software. You
To make it
fix it
work.
up and then you sell it for a profit.
So
Technically, it's the same thing.
that's why you and I didn't get COVID because we have this sort of thinking, innit? We've got the money. Innit? A lot of people who get into this sort of gaming, you know what I mean? You know, find ways to make some serious cash in the briefcase, you know. But it's really good.
Mm.
You know, but I think obviously this is a really clever game because it teaches. It's obviously what people do, and even in the United Kingdom with the real estate market, it's ridiculous.
Mm.
It's the second most expensive place to live in the world, in London especially, second most expensive
Mm.
city in the world to live in. I think after
Mm.
San Francisco. So yes, a lot of people are into buying properties and flipping them. You know,
Yes.
doing them up and flipping them. Obviously, that's actually stagnated because of the way things are with the market now. I don't want to go into
Mm.
it, but it's typically a thing that people do, you know. And I suppose this is really clever because it sort of gives people an insight into that world, you know. And I think it definitely has its people that will be attracted to it. It's like, oh, let's give this a go.
I
It's a
would
lot of fun. It's
say.
not going to cost you anything. It's
Mm.
fantasy.
Exactly. It's all fantasy. It's not the real thing. Sometimes a fantasy is all you need. You know, Billy Joel. So so that's what my first game that really got me through the pandemic. A little bit of an acknowledgement to Notch in the chats. Sorry for off topic question, but anyone playing Baldur's Gate 3? I haven't started off on that one yet,
Not
Notch.
yet.
I do want to because I've played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Excellent games. Sometime in the future, once Baldur's Gate 3 goes down in price, I'm definitely gonna get myself a copy and play through it. And Notch also says Power Wash Sim is good too. Not sure if that's the right title. Yes, Power Wash Simulator. I've tried that on Game Pass. It's a lot of fun. Basically, you're power washing people's property, making sure that it's nice and clean. And I got into
Lahat ng
that.
simulator naman, Tito Joel, is fun for you.
I agree. That Raymond makes a good point. A lot of
Yeah.
simulators are a lot of fun for me. Maybe it's because of the fact that during the time of pandemic and COVID, this is the thing that kind of got you out of the house and allowed you to
Mm.
really kind of imagine how things were outside of your own home since you were trapped like a rat there. This is your way of trying to reach out to the outside world and kind of imagining and pretending that you're doing something that really is a little bit different from what you're doing day to day, which is just hunkering down, wiping your groceries with Lysol wipes, making sure that you don't get infected. So the second game that I wanted to
May-
highlight, yeah, GDM, go ahead.
I think Ninong Joel will like the Thief Simulator as well because
Oh,
I
Thief
think
Simulator,
this is
yes.
the pre. I think House Flipper is the prequel to Thief Simulator
Wala bang
because
Team Simulator?
That's a really
Yung
good
ano,
point, JDM. Yeah, there is a Thief Simulator, Raven. There is a Thief
yeah,
Simulator, and I
Thief
do have it, and
Simulator.
I have to try it actually. I think
You have it
one of
on
our
Steam. You have it on Nintendo Switch as
yes
well.
on
Or
Nintendo Switch as well.
Tito
Surprisingly,
Joel,
Mhm.
you and Mara should talk about
Why?
simulators.
Oh yeah,
Parang lahat ng sinasabi mo meron siya. The heck?
I'm absolutely sure Mara has a lot of it, and actually
Maybe we
Thief
can do an
Simulator.
episode with simulation
Yeah.
games, right?
Okay,
In
well,
the
sounds like
future.
a really good idea. Tres Natad of 3K, Tres Cuenta Gaming, 3K Gaming was the one who streamed in Pinoy Retro Gaming Thief Simulator. I got interested in Thief Simulator. I'll have to try that out. And of course, the second genre that I got really into during the time of COVID was racing games. Racing games, particularly this one, Forza Horizon 3. Forza Horizon 3 is a racing game that I spent so much time on during the lockdown because again, I like to drive. Well, not like, but it's something that I do as an obligation as a dad, shuttling my daughter and my wife around and everything. But this one is competitive driving. You get all these exotic cars, all these amazing vehicles, true to life physics, and high octane driving. So Forza Horizon 3 on the Xbox was really what got it was something that I got into because of the fact that again, it is something that you got to do during the time of COVID because you could not do during the time of COVID because everything was locked down. Nobody could go out. Fantasy world, everybody wanted to do something
Mm.
other than what they were doing. As a corollary, during the time of COVID, I noticed that a lot of people were streaming a game called Bus Simulator. I'm not quite sure if anybody remembers that time. Every you couldn't turn to
But
any streaming, yeah, to any streaming
ah,
genre or channel without seeing people play bus driving simulator. If you guys remembered, if you guys might remember that game, bus driving simulator was left and right
kala ko bot.
everywhere. Yeah, it was big back then, back in
Kala ko
2020,
bot.
2021.
The bot.
No,
Bot
no,
simulator.
but I mean
Sorry.
that's the side corner of Steam, Raymond, that you have to click on adults allowed portion. But yeah, Bus Simulator was the game that
Yan, bus
everybody was
simulator.
playing. Everybody was playing
Oo
back
nga,
then.
no, Chino, ang dami
Mm-mm.
nilang viewers for this.
Yeah.
Kasi
Mm.
it's kind of patok here in the Philippines where
Mhm.
streamers stream bus simulating that like
Mhm.
there's there patok patok sa
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. It became a huge thing for Filipinos.
kulang
I
na lang
guess it was.
magkaroon ng Jeep Simulator.
Yeah, no, there were modifications of bus simulator where you could
Meron
drive
din.
jeepneys.
Meron.
Jeepneys are the national vehicle in the Philippines where people would. Oh, and Notch says they do role play too. Very true,
Okay.
very true. A lot of people did role play on
They
bus
do
simulator where they
they
would
do
they would
foreplay too.
pretend they would
Yeah.
pretend to be
Role
bus
play.
drivers, role play,
They
and
have this like the towels with the good morning.
yeah, I remember that because bus drivers have towels around their necks and you kind of need to wipe away their sweat. Those were the games that got me through times of COVID, and I guess it's the thing that really solidified my wanting to go out. The
Mm.
simulator games and the driving games. That's my COVID gaming experience. Back to you, JDM.
All right. So how about
I remember that one.
Eileen?
Notch says
Yeah.
the song that was featured, music was dying inside to hold you, and with the frog mix. I forgot who the one who sang "Dying Inside to Hold You" was. Shoot, but that song is etched into my memory.
It's
Honestly,
starting out just another
another
day.
day. Yeah, that one. All right, back to you, JDM.
All right. So weird. Ninong Joel's games that he played during the pandemic. How about Miss Eileen?
So for me, before I start, one thing I want to add with the gaming scene during the pandemic is that gaming stores and publishers gave out free games. Like the GOG gave like a set of gaming packs. I forgot the list, but it's like a minimum of like 10 or 15. Steam also maybe gave away some games. Epic does on a periodic basis. And I remember vividly the modern Tomb Raider game was given away for free. So that was one of the games that helped me through the pandemic because I was back then I played Tomb Raider 1 up to 3 and I wasn't able to play the games after that. So the modern Tomb Raider was like a big surprise for me, especially that it's what you call this. There's the quick time moments in the game, which the original games didn't have, and of course, it's no longer the polygons that we know from the old Tomb Raiders. Polygon Lara and other games as well. It gave me time to replay GTA San Andreas because we know it's one of the longer games in the trilogy because the map is quite vast and there's lots of things you can do in the game. And because I love GTA, I love driving fast there. The bus simulators and other games would be so boring for me because you have to observe the traffic rules, right?
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Hmm.
Yes, and other games. It's my first time trying Yakuza in the pandemic, so I bought Yakuza Kiwami, or maybe it was free on what you call this, the site Humble Bundle. They
Um,
gave out free games, and I think I got Yakuza from one of the bundles there. So I got lucky, and I enjoyed the gameplay of it, everything because I what I grew up with was Shenmue, and the gameplay is very similar, and the themes. So I had lots of fun with Yakuza and beating up people, beating up
Yeah.
bad cloud, not people, because I love action games, beat 'em up. So this appealed to me. And another game is Sleeping Dogs.
Oh,
I
Sleeping Dogs.
love that game.
Really nice one. Really nice one.
And
another
I
bit
was
of
able to play it. Yes, I was able to play it after a trip to Hong Kong back in 2019, and I was able to like feel the vibe in the game. And I found a website that pointed out the similarities of Hong Kong, the actual place, the into the game. Like the trash bin has stickers in Hong Kong. It's actually present in the game,
Hmm.
and when you cross the road, the traffic, the pedestrian lights or whatever, you would hear like ting 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 ting. There's something like that. Even the game captured that. So
Hmm.
even the jumbo restaurant, it's unfortunately gone now because it was towed away. It let's say it got bankrupt, or I'm not sure how to
Hmm.
say the status
Yeah.
of that
Hmm.
business. But then, as they towed it away, it reportedly sank. So
Mm.
at least you can relive the Jumbo restaurant in Sleeping Dogs.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Sleeping Dogs was amazing. Honestly, Miss Eileen and I share the same experience. I did get to visit Hong Kong way back in 2003, if I remember correctly, during the time of SARS, and because it was extremely cheap back then. And the playing Sleeping Dogs, you know Hong Kong, it's accurate. It's
Yes.
really it's really too it's really as accurate as you can possibly get when it comes to environment. So but let me just acknowledge first, Boss Jeff, Jeff Sabdalia, Tito Popoy on the chats who says, Patok Jeep yon. Yes, Boss Jeff did say that jeepneys were a modification in Bus Simulator. Anyway, back to you, Miss Eileen.
And so apart from that, one of the other games is Mafia 2 because I
Oh yeah.
was just getting into the game. I started Mafia 1 before the pandemic, and in the pandemic, I was able to play the second one. And it was such a nice game with very cinematic vibes, great story, and I want to say something, but it's spoiler alert. I'm just gonna skip that.
Mm,
But
Gangster
you
okay.
na
know,
siguro
you know, you
tayo.
know. Ano,
Gangster.
sir?
Gusto GTA tapos
Yeah, I'm starting to notice a pattern with this Miss Eileen being
yeah.
nice and being meek and everything. Her choice of games are extremely violent.
ba,
I thought
nagalit ka
about
ba
this
sa
because
mundo?
Yeah.
I noticed this because I have a friend
You
who's
like GTA, you
uh,
like Bang Bang, tapos you
Yeah,
like that. You
exactly.
like
I know. I'm
Shane.
starting to notice Miss Eileen is showing off, showing, letting loose her repressed side through
No.
her
weird,
video
right?
gaming.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who's
You're-
quite, let's say, more of an extrovert, and she tends to play more calmer games. I'm a, well, let's say, reserved person, and I tend to play these violent games, stimulating games. I guess it's the opposite.
There
Like I'm
you go.
already a quiet person.
Mhm.
I like some excitement in my video games,
I
so
don't
don't
like
There
give
to
you
see
go.
me.
you personal, Eileen. Baka ano ka, baka you're a violent person.
You don't want to meet up with Miss Eileen because she might actually be
Yeah.
violent in real life.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not.
There you go. We'll take Miss Eileen for her word. There
It's
you go.
always the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Very good, Miss Eileen. Who wants to go next?
Yeah. How,
Raymond. You.
yes. How about Kuya Raymond? Your
Yes.
gaming. What are the games that you have played
Hmm.
during the pandemic?
Yes.
So that time I started speedrunning for the Resident Evil
Oh,
series in
nice.
the
Ah,
pandemic. Yeah. So I started speedrunning Resident Evil 1, the remastered,
Hmm.
at the same time Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2, the remake one. So it's basically that's the games that I usually you played on the part where pandemic is occurring. So I got the chance to play Resident Evil Zero, speedrunning Resident Evil 1, speedrunning Resident Evil 2, and 3, then 4, then the OG ones, the OG 1, the OG 2, the OG 3, and so far so good. Yeah, na they got the horror games make my gaming um a lot more gaming a lot more better. Yeah. So even though I do like horror games, Eileen, I'm not a zombie. At the same time, I do reconnect on my fighting game enthusiastic sides. So Fightcade was there.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
just like
Ray.
I bought a Pandora actually. I bought a Pandora for the fighting games.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's it. So Pandora, Fightcade, Resident Evil, that's the games that revolves around me when pandemic strikes.
Mm.
So yeah.
mm.
Yeah,
And no
and
more Pepsi Man JDM ha.
Pepsi Man is a challenge that JDM issued to all the Pinoy Retro
Yeah.
Gaming members, and we all had to comply. And honestly, it was a good time. But
Uh,
yeah, in Raymond's case, it was horror games and fighting games. When you combine them, you fight horror. Okay, so that
I
is
agree
that.
with Kuya Raymond's because I remember, if I remember correctly,
Mm,
the Resident Evil 3 remake was released around April, March
mm,
or April, because I got it. I played the whole weekend and I finished it the whole weekend, and it was quite a short game, but
mm,
it was fine. It's not it gave tribute to the original game.
mm. You guys are gonna.
But
You
it's much
guys.
short it's much
Yeah,
shorter than the original
yeah,
Nemesis.
Oh,
yeah. It's
okay.
short,
Cool. You
right.
guys are gonna have to forgive me. I'm gonna have to start opening up stuff here to catch up on the things that I ordered off of Amazon during the time that I was away. So anyway, continue.
Okay, so who's next? How about Sir Joe?
Hmm.
Mm, Me. Around late 2019, that was the time
This
when
is
COVID started happening here
yeah.
in Sydney.
Have a quick
I
look,
lost
Joe.
my
This
job
is
at the
this is
time.
yours.
Yay!
Yeah. Anyway.
Already.
Yeah, it's here already. Okay.
Yay!
Mm,
Um, yeah, so late 2019, I lost my job at the time.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Sorry to hear that.
and uh, you guys need to remember to those who are listening. So it's just me and my wife at the time. I have no other means of entertainment, or I don't know anybody else. It's just me and my wife, right?
Hirap
So
City.
video games are all that I had. Um, so at the time when I was still hoping for the next job opening, it did when I did suffer some depression of it, but for me to cope on a time when COVID is starting to hit, uh, I'm not sure if it's a defense mechanism, but with all of my savings at the time, if Sir Viraj was the seller, I was the buyer compulsively. So I started
yeah.
buying all of the retro JRPGs that I could find on eBay, and I burned most of my savings just by doing that. Maybe it's because I just wanted to feel something, you know. at the time. It was a very dark time, dark period uh, on a personal note. And then I started, and I'm like, okay, if I'm not doing anything at home, I was pretty much stayed at home at the time, and I'm not doing anything. So I revived my YouTube channel. I started game vlogging. I would buy a lot of stuff from eBay, and then I'll just I'll just point the camera at it. Then I'll do some unboxings, and I'll just tell everybody, "Oh, these are my pickups today. This, that, and that." And then a lot of people were doing streaming, so I figured, okay, with the games that I'm getting, I might as well do some streaming as well. I bought some equipment, the cheapest one that I could find, which is weird. I'm buying the expensive games, and then I'm buying my streaming equipment for dirt cheap, right? Um, so for the games, I was that got me through for the last 2 years since COVID hit. Lost Odyssey.
Xbox game.
This is the
Ah,
first game that I streamed. Well, I already played this before. Right before we flew here in Australia, this is the game that I was playing, and then uh, I just stopped because we were facilitating the paperwork just to get here. But I continued this one, Lost Odyssey, so I was able to finish this finally. And then the next game that I streamed and finished was Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Ooh, Sugar Dragon!
Another another one of those games that costed an arm and a leg. I keep telling to the guys, I am burning through my savings, and this was not cheap to get.
Mhm.
So the
Game
next
Gear.
game that I played, that I finished, was Chrono Cross for the PlayStation One. At the time, I got this as a bundle. There was this seller in the US who was selling his Final Fantasy Chronicles Anthology 7, 8, and 9, all five of those, and I won the auction. And as a bonus, he threw in Chrono Cross as an extra.
Nice.
And out of all of the PlayStation One JRPGs that I had at the time, this was the my brother played this, and I'm like, what's the big deal about this game? I could have played Legend of Legaia. I could have played Sayuki. I could have played Hoshigami, but no. I went straight to Chrono Trigger just to see what the big fuss is about. I haven't played Chrono Trigger at this stage. I didn't even finish Chrono Trigger at the time, so I went straight to Chrono Cross. Why is this being regarded as a sequel? Sure, um, I finished it, and I'm like, that's the only reference that you got for Chrono Trigger. Nah, might as well just be its own game. No, it had no business being called a sequel to Chrono Trigger. If anything, Chrono Cross should be slapping Chrono Trigger in the face. The next game that I finished after Chrono Cross that I streamed was Valkyrie Profile to
Mm,
Silmeria for the
Mm.
PlayStation 2. I love the first game,
mm.
so I'm
I
like,
like that.
Valkyrie Profile 2 on PS2
Love Profile
Silveria.
2 for the PlayStation 2, and I'm
mm,
like, okay, so I love the first one, and out of all of the PlayStation 2 JRPGs that I had, I'm like, okay, I love the first one. Why not just play the second one, see how it compares? And yep, I still like the first one by comparison,
Hmm.
but I finished this one, streamed it. And the next game that I played and finished during the pandemic, the next one was Ark Rise
right.
Fantasia for the Nintendo Wii. Horrible, horrible, horrendous, awful, garbage voice acting.
Never again.
What the hell?
Never again. Okay.
So, and I'm like, I had to download the undubbed version of it. The undubbed, guys, meaning the Japanese audio, but with the
Subtitles.
English subtitles. Yeah. So I download that one, installed it to my Wii. Much better. It made the playthrough a lot bearable.
Mm.
But anyways, for the hell of it, I did finish it, streamed it, and for the last game that I played and finished streamed, and this was during the last legs of COVID. Evolution 1 and 2
Oh yeah.
back
Mm.
to
Ah,
back
I remember that.
for the
Mhm.
Sega Dreamcast. Sergey DM remembers this one.
Mhm.
Mm.
I fucking hate dungeon crawler games, and this is the game that made me realize that.
Mm.
um, so anything that resembles dungeon crawling, oh my god, that's an automatic no for me. If I'm
Mm.
going to play another dungeon crawling game, well, it depends on the characters. It depends on the story.
Mhm.
Sure, the next best thing, either I'm going, because at the time I was thinking Evolution or Time Stalkers, but Time Stalkers, I was trying to find a cheap seller who would sell me a Time Stalker for the Dreamcast. So I had no choice but to see what this is all about. One of the first JRPGs for the Dreamcast, though.
Mm.
Might as well. But yeah, I finished both games back to back. So all of these games that I had here, um, I made video game reviews of it. I did vlogged it. So vlogging, streaming, I did all of those for vlogging, streaming, and collecting. I did all of those during the 2 years of the pandemic. I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it today, um, but at the time, at least it gave me such a distraction
Mm.
from all the negativities the negativities that I felt at the time.
Mm. Yeah.
And
It's
like a lot of people are saying, gaming really does provide someone comfort. Yes, it
yes.
might be juvenile, but you may never know what are the circumstances about why they choose gaming as an escape. It
Completely agree.
provides a short comfort, a short escape, but rather than the alternative,
Hmm. Yes.
right? Rather than the
And
tragic alternative.
yes,
I agree.
it's better a quick escape into fantasy than an escape from life, altogether.
That's
So,
true.
right?
Mm.
There you go. All right.
All right.
And
So
GDM. Mhm.
I guess that leaves me to discuss the games that I have played. So for me, it's a variety of games. I played a variety of games during the pandemic. But what I remember back then was I started playing the Far Cry games, especially Far Cry 5.
Oh, yeah.
Because before the pandemic, I played the fourth game, Far Cry 4, which
Mhm.
was um, the setting was in the place called Kairat, which was like a fictionalized version of India or
Mm.
northern part of India, like somewhere in the Himalayas, like that.
Yes.
One with the snow, right? So I played that before the pandemic. So I decided. So I got my new PC. I got my new video card back in June of 2022. Why not play modern games?
Yeah.
So I started with Far Cry 5. The setting was in Hope County in Montana.
Montana. Yeah.
It's Montana is like it's not a desert. It was like a prairie. But it's like temperate place in the US. So you got to get you get to see bears, the the wolverines. I think it's a mongoose or a wolverine. Yeah, that's one thing because it's an open world game, so you can do pretty much anything like hunt if you're not into hunting um cult leaders. You're hunting for animals like
Piece of
bears,
advice. Piece of
wolverine.
advice for anybody playing Far Cry 5. All the animals are angry and they want to kill you. Okay.
Yes, exactly. And you need to stay away from bisons because
Oh yeah.
they don't discriminate. They attack anyone. The cult peoples,
They attack you.
they attack you. They attack the civilians. They attack anything. Even
Yeah.
if they see like vehicles, they will try to tackle those
Mm-mm.
vehicles off the road. So it's not just the because the premise was um you're following this no um
Your law
your
enforcement,
enemy, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you're
your
a
law
law
enforcement
enforcement,
trying to, your law enforcement officer trying to apprehend a cult leader
cult
who's,
leader,
yes,
right?
that's it. And
um
honestly, I'll have to interject, JDM. Of all
mhm,
the Far Cry's that I've played, one all the way to five, five is by far my most favorite. It is so much fun, honestly.
right.
It's great fun. Mhm. Continue.
And aside from Far Cry 5, you also had the sequel called Far Cry New Dawn.
Hmm.
It's a direct sequel to the fifth game,
Hmm.
and you see references from the previous game. So I finished that as well.
Hmm.
But what I didn't like about it was such a short game, and the place is still there. It's still in Hope County, but most of the area is inaccessible
Hmm.
because of the events that happened in the previous game.
Hmm.
So what I think of Far Cry New Dawn is it looks like a DLC instead of like a standalone game because the weapons are there. Some of the characters, the NPCs are from the previous game. So
Hmm.
and then I've also played um
Wait, one moment,
the-
JDM.
uh,
Let me ask you, as somebody who's already played Far Cry 5 and New Dawn is on the list, is it worth playing, or can I just skip it and go straight to Far Cry 6?
um if you're into the lore of the
Mm,
Far Cry 5, if you would like to know more, it's
hmm.
I recommend the game.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're just a casual, like you just want to play this Far
Hmm.
Cry or an open world game,
Hmm.
you might it doesn't hurt if you skip the game.
Ah, I see. Okay.
It's
Got
okay.
it. All right. Continue.
And so much for the Far Cry games. I've also played a little bit of GTA 5 because back back in April, that's when Epic started giving out freebies, right? Free games, and it almost blew the internet when they released GTA 5 for free. So I got that and I played a little bit, and then I have also tried online games like it's not Battlefield, but it's a World War II game called Heroes and Generals. I played that. You can play as the Allied forces, the Axis, and the the Russian army. It's it's like Battlefield but in World War II, and it's much more simple because it's not triple A game. It's just like an indie developer from. It's a game from an indie independent developer. I played that. I've also played Rising Storm Vietnam. So just like Heroes and Generals, but this time it's in Vietnam. You have you play as um, the the GIs, and on the other side it's the what they call them, the Viet Cong.
The Viet Cong.
Yeah. So the the gameplay is pretty realistic because there are times that when enemies shoot you, you die instantly. So depending on which body part you got shot at, especially when it's in your upper body. So it's much more realistic than the Battlefield games. And then I've also played some online games, especially when back when we're still working from home. We have clients from the US, mostly they're from Texas. We do Zoom meetings, and sometimes we just co-work, or we do some breaks for an hour or two. Then we play this game called the Jackbox games, those party games that they play. It's like playing Scrabble or word games, but these are bizarre games that you play with uh, a bunch of like a dozen of people. So they just give you like a code where you need to um, enter. They give you a link, then the people will try to answer those questions, those weird um, games. Mostly they're like um, it's like Family Feud or something like that. There's different kinds of games in the Jackbox game. So we used to play that every, I think it's every Wednesday, where we when we do our meetings. I even got cat invaded once in a meeting, and everyone was just shocked that a cat, like a cat tail, suddenly appeared on my camera. So it was a great experience, especially that you're speaking with people from different parts of the world, especially in the US. So it's really great experience when we had that work from home setup. So so that's it for me, my gaming experience for during the pandemic. Hmm?
All
I
right. Thank
think
you for that for JDM. Yes, sir, Joel.
I think Ninong Joel is on mute or
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was asking JDM if they spoke with their texts and accents like this. If, do they speak with do they speak in their drawls and all that? No.
No.
no, because one of our managers was also in the he also took part in the meetings, and
Mm.
he's from he was actually a guest one time in our wrestling pro wrestling
Oh,
episode.
cool. There you go. Hmm.
Sir Ricky Perez, Ricky
Hmm.
Ryden.
Hmm.
He's, I guess he is kind of a Latin, so
Ah.
he did not speak the like the
Mm.
accent. But
No, that's too bad.
we some of our co-workers are in different parts of the US. So
Hmm.
some
All
of
right.
them are in Minneapolis, some are
Mm.
in Pennsylvania, I guess.
So it was a mishmash of accents. All right, very cool. All right, down to you, Joe.
All right. Well, where did the time go? It's been two
Mm.
hours already, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough anecdotes from each panel on what the
Mm.
pandemic meant to them. Each, some positive, some negative. Yeah, so we'll just go one by one for our final words and the shameless plugging, of course, before we
Mm.
finally end the show for the evening.
Mm.
Let's go with Sir Viraj.
Hi there. You can find me on YouTube as part of the Sega Mega Masters with Sedan. Just search Sega Mega Masters with spaces between the words, of course. And if you, for those who like Sega Mega Drive and 16-bit Sega and even 8-bit Sega, because we review Master System games, by all means, check it out. We all talk about that sort of stuff in that era. And also, you can find me on the Sega Genesis group on Facebook. Oh, back to you, Joe.
All right. Thank you for final words
Oh, final words.
about the whole event.
I think it's very sad what happened, but uh, the negatives and positives. The positives is it did it brought a lot of people into gaming that wouldn't otherwise
That's
gone to
true.
it, or it brought a lot of people into retro gaming or reverted back to retro gaming. Obviously, the bad of it is it's put the price of it all up. That's the bad side of it. The accessibility isn't there for people on entry level income, shall we say? So it's good and bad. But hey, listen, there are other ways to play these games. There's other ways to play them.
Yarr.
Much more cost.
Yarr.
But, but hey, listen, it's brought a lot more people into this gaming manosphere. It's brought me into loving this hobby again. It's brought me in touch with you guys. I found a path into you guys, so I'm here on this podcast with you guys, and I'm enjoying it.
Yay.
Yes.
I found solace in it, and it's like you mentioned just now, Sir Joe, about how the depression is what really plagued us during the pandemic. I got depressed. I'll put my hands up to it. I needed something to do to keep my mind distracted from it, and yes, mental health cases went through the roof during the pandemic because people aren't used to being isolated. We are social creatures for the most part. Yes, there are some people who are introverts, that I just totally don't want to be in touch with. But there's a lot of us who just couldn't stand it. They had to have some social interaction. So again, that's another thing. But I found social interaction with you guys through a hobby that we all mutually share. So there's something good that came out of it. That's what I want to say. Not all things are bad. Back to you, sir.
That is true. Thank you for that, Sir Viraj. How about Miss Eileen? Final words about COVID in gaming and where can they find you?
For me, what I found during the pandemic is that I was thankful that I have still all my friends and relatives survived the pandemic. I'm very grateful for that. And we
Amen.
got more time to play video games during the lockdown. I was able to start streaming and I was able to meet many streamers, friends from across the pond, and even here on PRG. I met all of you through streaming and I'm thankful for that. Got new friends. And um, COVID is still out there, so everybody please be careful, even if it's milder these days. It's still out there. And as for me, where you can find me is if you can find me, if I have time to stream, it's on Twitch.
No.
There. If you can find me, if you can find me, I'm on Twitch and YouTube.
She's under the truck in Viridian City. All
I'm there.
right. Thank you, Miss Eileen. How about Sir Joel?
All right. Final words about gaming during the time of COVID. It was a time where everybody went a little bit insane, and the effects are still lingering to this day. But we realized that life is short. Life is short. Life comes at you really fast, and if you don't appreciate it, you might lose what little time you have left in this world. Me being personally being on the 2/3 mark of my life, I certainly appreciated the fact that there will come a time when this will all be gone, and you had better enjoy what you have now and how you're living your life today. So live life to the fullest, live life to the like it's your very live every day single day like it's your very last, and make sure to give everybody that you love, let everybody that you know that you love, everybody that you love know that you love them, because of the fact that you might not get the chance again. So again, you can find me in kick.com under Banyagang Native, and on twitch.tv under Banyagang Native, hashtag FUFB, and you will be able to see me post in various places like the Pinoy Retro Gaming official page and in my personal page, Joel Baklit and Banyagang Native. All right, back to you, Joe.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Joel. And how about Sir Ray? Final words about gaming in lockdown and where can they find you?
Oh, you're on mute,
Still
Raven.
on mute.
There you go.
Dito sa bahay, charot.
In at his home. Okay, that's what he said.
Okay. Ah, parang Tagalogin ko na lang. Yung
Go
COVID
ahead.
kasi is parang naging way for people to reset. For me, it's time, yung people is ang COVID is naging tulay for people to reset, to muni-muni,
Mhm.
na well, family pa rin, family first in everything else. Trabaho ng trabaho, tapos all of a sudden, ay na-blink ko ba na bigla, in the stop lang, yung ibang kamag-anak mo, nawala. Yun. You should have time for you and for yourself and for your family. And at the same time, yun nga, yun nangyari. Nagkaroon na tayo ng time para sa sarili natin. We do have the time for for our in our own self. So, nakapaglaro tayo, yun, ganun. And anyhow, you can catch me dito sa bahay. Hindi, I mean, sorry. By the way, naano na ako. Magpa-plug lang ako. We're going to have PRG will going to have event and it's from Geek Competicon this coming September 16 to 17. So may pa-tournament kami. It's called Marvel vs. Capcom Tournament. So ayan, kikita nyo naman courtesy of Pinoy Retro Gaming. And well, may mga ibang events din diyan. Teka, pakita ko lang din yung event.
Mhm.
Um, so ito yung mismong event. Pakita ko na lang sa inyo guys and it's called Hyper Game Mode on sa
Mhm.
Ayala Circuit Makati.
Mhm.
Alright, so
Okay.
if you're free this coming September 16 to 17, you can catch us. We have free to play area there. From day 1 and day 2, we're there. And at the same time, the day 2 of the Marvel vs. Capcom tournament will be held. So if you have time, you can catch us there. Yeah. And that's it, Tito Joel, Sir Joe.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for
Nice.
that, survey. Oh, how about the guy with the idea for this episode, Sir JDM? Final words, and where can they find you?
All right. So first, thank you so much, guys, for joining us in our discussion for tonight. We really appreciate it, and we also appreciate your comments back here on the chat. And I know COVID, this pandemic, it's sad. There were people who lost their lives as well as their lost their
Livelihood.
livelihood during the pandemic. And I learned that just like what Kuya Raymond said, it's like a reset button for us to like think that it made us think that we need to pause and stop for a while because it's during this before the pandemic everything was like going so fast, and I believe this is a time that we need to uh, sit and think what's going to happen next. Maybe it's a time for us to um, spend time with our loved ones, especially with the it's the it's a good thing. Unlike in during the Spanish flu, we don't have this technology that can bring people closer together because of the internet. We have the internet now. We can talk to anyone who's abroad or someone very remotely away from us. So it also, I believe, the pandemic also brought people together. It's also the reason why I met like-minded people, uh, mostly in the Pinoy retro gaming community. I discovered that it's not just gaming. You can also do things, different hobbies. You have more time with your loved ones, and uh, just live your life to the fullest. So for me, you can find me on Twitch, also here on Facebook Gaming, 123 Go Retro. Recently I haven't streamed a lot because of my work, and I did have some medical issues, but I'm fine now. Maybe this week or in the upcoming days, I'm going to stream more regularly. So please do catch me out. Check my page out in Facebook Gaming and on Twitch.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir JDM. So, a few final words in regarding with COVID. Out of all of the bad things that the panel mentioned earlier, what I forgot to mention, Timeless Gamer is a product of COVID. Like
Yes.
out of all of the boredom that we had, like for the last 2 years, this podcast was a brainchild of board gamers and gaming collectors, um, who thought, okay, we have nothing better else to do. Let's just do a show, talk about the things that we like, right? And this show has been. We met a lot of people all throughout the months that we've been doing the show. Um, a lot of games that we haven't heard of coming from different panels that we had, and we were able to discover a few genres, a few gaming titles that we never thought of even playing. And it also brought us to Sir Dan, people like Sir Viraj as well, and and people from Pinoy Retro Gaming for assimilating Timeless Gamer to their organization. So there are, so like Sir Viraj mentioned, there are good things that came out with COVID. As for the some plugs, another plug, Pinoy Retro Gaming is also uh, holding out its Retroton. They call it Purse 3 Retroton. Every month, it is open to all of the streamers who are willing to join in. Just drop a message to the Discord channel of Pinoy Retro Gaming. As far as I know, it's usually being held every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during the weekends. And like Sir Ray mentioned earlier, Marvel vs. Capcom tournament, Geek Pop, this coming September 16th to 17th. Free to play with the Pinoy Retro Gaming, Ayala Mall Circuit, Makati in Metro Manila. So, yep. And as for the show, the next episode that we're about to do will be Chrono Trigger and the good, the bad, and arguably the ugly sides of Chrono Trigger. We will have Sir Dan, Sir Viraj, and well, those two. Uh, those two who will be leading the persecution, so to speak,
Mhm. Yeah.
of of Chrono Trigger, and hopefully we could invite some people who will defend Chrono Trigger with its prestige that it got, its accolades that it got from all of the gamers ever since the game came out back in 92, 93. I believe Sir JDM likes it. I think Sir Joel likes it. Calling them a fan, calling them fans of Chrono Trigger, maybe stretching it, but we will discuss we will discuss the game thoroughly in retrospect. That will be, I'm not sure if that I think that will be on September 16th,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly.
Mm.
Next Saturdays, next Saturday. So that will be September 16th. Sir Dan will be leading the charge. Will be the district attorney,
Mhm.
cross
The,
examining Chrono Trigger.
the
Like,
chief prosecutor,
Yeah.
the
shall we say?
chief
And
prosecutor. Are you
we're just
really
gonna
the
bring the
for
pitchfork and
me?
the bonfires.
All right, and that's the show, guys. Thank you all so much for staying from start to finish, and all behalf of the Timeless Gamer crew and Pinoy Retro Gaming. Our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but
our gaming experiences will forever remain. Hey,
Timeless.
Timeless. All right. See you guys again soon. Thanks very much for hanging around.
Keep safe, guys.